They made us laugh. They made us cry. They punched, they sang, they acted, and they left marks on this world that can never be erased. But in the last 12 to 14 months, the world lost them, one by one. Some of them passed peacefully. Some were taken shockingly fast. And some, just days before their death, were working out, cracking jokes, living life to the fullest. Today, we remember 10 iconic legends who are no longer with us. These are not rumors. These are not hoaxes. These are confirmed deaths. And behind each one is a story that will give you chills. Stay till the end, because number one will genuinely shock you. 10 famous celebrities the world lost and will never forget. Celebrity. #10. James Van Der Beek. Let's begin with someone who defined teenage television in the late 90s. If you grew up watching Dawson's Creek, you know exactly who James Van Der Beek is. He played Dawson Leary, the boy next door, the dreamer, the romantic. For millions of teenagers around the world, he was the face of an entire era. But on February 11, 2026, the world received heartbreaking news. James Van Der Beek passed away at just 48 years old from colorectal cancer. Just 48. A man who seemed like he had so much life ahead of him. What made this even more emotional was that James had been publicly open about his diagnosis. He didn't hide from it. He faced it with courage and continued to act, to love his family, and to live right until the very end. He starred in hits like Varsity Blues, Ugly Betty, and Dancing with the Stars. But it was Dawson's Creek that made him immortal. The world wept when he left. And for everyone who grew up in the 90s, a little piece of their childhood went with him. Celebrity #9. Michelle Trachtenberg. Next, a name that will absolutely break your heart. Michelle Trachtenberg. You know her as Dawn Summers from Buffy the Vampire Slayer, or perhaps as the conniving Georgina Sparks in Gossip Girl. She started her career as a child actress. She was talented, beautiful, and full of potential. On February 26, 2025, Michelle passed away at only 39 years old. 39. The cause was listed as complications related to diabetes, though the exact circumstances were described as undetermined. Young life cut brutally short. Social media exploded with tributes. Buffy co-stars, her Gossip Girl castmates, everyone came forward to share their grief. She was someone who had grown up on screen before our very eyes. From a child in Harriet the Spy to a beloved teen icon, gone far, far too soon. The world didn't just lose an actress. It lost someone it watched grow up. Celebrity #8, David Lynch. Now we move to a legend of a completely different kind. David Lynch, the visionary director behind Twin Peaks, Mulholland Drive, and Blue Velvet, one of the most original minds in the history of cinema. Lynch died on January 15, 2025, from cardiac arrest. He was 78 years old. He had publicly revealed in 2024 that he suffered from emphysema, a lung disease caused by decades of heavy smoking. Yet he kept creating, he kept thinking, he kept dreaming. Lynch didn't just make movies, he created worlds. Worlds where nothing is what it seems, where beauty and horror exist side by side, where you walk out of the theater not knowing if you're awake or asleep. When Twin Peaks first aired in 1990, it changed television forever. And Mulholland Drive is still considered one of the greatest films ever made. David Lynch was irreplaceable. And in a world of sequels, remakes, and franchises, there will never be another mind like his. Celebrity #7, Val Kilmer. 3 words. I'm your Huckleberry. If those words send chills down your spine, you already know who we're talking about. Val Kilmer, the man who played Iceman in Top Gun, Doc Holliday in Tombstone, Jim Morrison in The Doors, and Batman in Batman Forever. A man who didn't just act roles, he became them. Val Kilmer passed away on April 1st, 2025. From pneumonia. He was 65 years old. And here's what makes the story even more heartbreaking. Val had been battling throat cancer since 2015. The treatment left him unable to speak normally. He communicated through a voice box. And yet, he never stopped working. He appeared in Top Gun Maverick in 2022, returning to the role that made him a star. That scene with Tom Cruise, it made the entire world cry. Val Kilmer was considered one of the most talented actors of his generation, and one of the most underrated. It took his death for many people to truly appreciate the depth and range of his genius. He deserved more time. He deserved more recognition. But The legends he left behind, those are eternal. Celebrity number 6, Gene Hackman. If you know cinema, truly know it, then you know that Gene Hackman was one of the greatest actors to ever live. A 2-time Oscar winner. The man behind Popeye Doyle in The French Connection, Lex Luthor in Superman, Little Bill in Unforgiven, Royal Tenenbaum in The Royal Tenenbaum. Gene Hackman died in February 2025 at the age of 95 from severe cardiovascular disease, with Alzheimer's as a significant contributing factor. Here is what makes his story even more tragic. Gene and his wife are found dead at their Santa Fe, New Mexico home. Together, his wife had passed from hantavirus. Gene, likely unaware of his wife's passing due to his Alzheimer's, died shortly after from his heart condition. 2 people were known. A love story that ended in heartbreak. Gene Hackman had retired from acting in 2004 and lived quietly out of the spotlight. He was 95, a full, remarkable life. And yet, the way he left this world was incredibly painful. He was a titan of American cinema, and we will not see his like again. Celebrity number 5, Robert Duvall. From one titan to another. Robert Duvall, Tom Hagen in The Godfather, Lieutenant Colonel Kilgore in Apocalypse Now, Max Sledge in Tender Mercies, a role that won him the Academy Award. Robert Duvall passed away peacefully on February 15, 2026, at his Virginia ranch surrounded by love. He was 95 years old. His wife described his passing as peaceful, surrounded by love and comfort. And for a man who had given so much to the world, that feels right. Robert Duvall worked for 7 consecutive decades. 7. From the 1960s all the way to the 2020s. Won an Oscar, 4 Golden Globes, 2 Emmys, a SAG Award, and a BAFTA. He was not just a star. He was an institution, and he went out the way he lived, with grace, quiet strength, and dignity. Rest well, Tom Hagen. Rest well. Celebrity number 4, Jesse Jackson. Now a man who was not just famous, but historic. Reverend Jesse Jackson, civil rights activist, presidential candidate, and one of the most powerful voices for justice and equality in American history. Jesse Jackson was a proc of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. He marched with him. He stood beside him, and after Dr. King's assassination, he carried that torch forward for decades. Reverend Jackson passed away on February 17, 2026, at the age of 84 from progressive supranuclear palsy, a rare degenerative brain condition. He had been living with Parkinson's disease for years, but he kept fighting, kept speaking, kept pushing. His 1988 presidential campaign showed the world that a black man could run seriously for President of the United States. Before it had ever been done, he won 11 states. He inspired a generation. Without Jesse Jackson, there may not have been a Barack Obama. His legacy is not just entertainment. It is history. It is justice. It is America. Celebrity number 3, Nicholas Brendon. Back to the world of entertainment now, and a story that is deeply, deeply sad. Nicholas Brendon, best known as Xander Harris on Buffy the Vampire Slayer, passed away in his sleep on March 20th, 2026. He was just 54 years old. Xander was the heart of the Buffy gang. Not the Slayer, not the witch. Just a regular guy with no powers, no magic, nothing but loyalty and humor and love for his friends. And Nicholas Brendon himself was beloved by fans worldwide. But behind the smile was a man who struggled deeply. He battled addiction, mental health challenges, and legal issues for years. He was open about his pain. He asked for help. He kept trying. He died in his sleep, peacefully, but far, far too young. Buffy cast came together in grief. Sarah Michelle Gellar, Allison Hannigan, Charisma Carpenter, all broken by the loss. Nicholas Brendon deserved more time, more healing, more life. We remember him not for his struggles, but for the joy he brought into millions of living rooms week after week, as the world's favorite regular guy. Celebrity number 1, Chuck Norris. And now, number 1, the one that shocked the entire planet. Because there was a saying, a famous saying, that went like this: death once had a near Chuck Norris experience. For decades, the internet celebrated Chuck Norris as the man who could not die. The Chuck Norris facts, the memes, the legend of the world's toughest human being. And then, on March 19, 2026, Chuck Norris died. He was 86 years old. Here's what makes this so shocking. Just 9 days before his death, on March 10th, his 86th birthday, Chuck Norris posted a video on Instagram. He was in Hawaii. He was sparring. He was boxing. He was grinning, and he posted the caption, "I don't age. I level up. I'm 86 today." 9 days later, he was rushed to a hospital in Kauai, Hawaii. after a sudden medical emergency. His family confirmed his passing the very next morning. The cause of death was kept private by his family. All they said was that he was surrounded by family and was at peace. Chuck Norris was not just an actor. He was a martial arts legend. A black belt in karate, taekwondo, tang sudo, Brazilian jiu-jitsu, and judo. A man who served his country in the Air Force. A man who trained Bruce Lee. A man who was literally made an honorary Texas Ranger. Walker, Texas Ranger, ran for 8 seasons. His action films in the 80s, Delta Force, Missing in Action, Code of Silence, made him an American icon. And even in his final years, retired away from Hollywood, he remained relevant through memes, social media, and the sheer force of his legend. When Chuck Norris died, the entire internet went silent for a moment. Because if Chuck Norris could die, what does that say about the rest of us? He was a symbol of invincibility. And yet behind that legend was a man, a father, a grandfather, a husband. And that man is now gone. Rest in peace, Walker. The world will never, ever forget you. 10 legends, 10 legacies, 10 people who shaped our world in ways we may not fully understand until years from now. They were actors, directors, activists, fighters. They gave us stories and performances and movements that changed history, and now they are gone. Here's what I want you to remember. Legends never truly die. They live in every film we rewatch, every song we replay, every story we retell. If this video moved you, if it made you think about someone you lost or someone whose work you loved, hit that like button. It truly helps this channel. Subscribe if you haven't already. We cover stories just like this one every week. And in the comments below, tell me which of these celebrities meant the most to you. I'll be reading every single one. Until next time, take care of each other. Life is short, and the people we love are irreplaceable.